Yeah, right now I have room for 3 clients. I'm giving them really good deals, and yeah, that's what I'm signing up right now. So, if you know anybody that's looking for, transformation in their life and business, especially towards the end of the year, because we really need to. I know it's going to be November 1st. Can you believe it, on Saturday? So we really need to rem up to get ready for 2026. Is that crazy? And then what I'm telling everybody right now is, I don't know if you realize there's going to be a week at least in November that nobody's going to really be doing anything, because it'll be Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, people usually take a week or 2 off. So if you're working with small to mid-sized businesses, or you are one, that's sometimes slow time, but it also depends on what you're doing for your business. So I love to sit down and have a cup of coffee with people and figure out how I can help them make a transition, not only in their business, but also in their life. So that's
Yeah. We have yeah, that's when Levi's having his surgery because it's our slow time.
Thanksgiving.
Christmas.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, because that's the time to be off, and you still can spend time with family even if you have a surgery. But a lot of people are trying to get surgeries and stuff like that done by the end of the year because of their insurance too. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but that also. So I will
No,
keep them in prayer.
honestly, if it to insurance, well, I started the year with a surgery.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
I
I
will.
would have preferred probably that he had done his at the beginning of the year, insurance wise, because then we would have paid our deductible and wouldn't be paying all year. But no, we planned it because that's slow time.
Yeah, that makes perfectly sense. Well, last time
Yeah.
we got busy chatting so much, and I would love to chat, and we definitely need to have a cup of coffee. And I'm here if you need a coach. Like I said,
Okay.
I will help you move from here to there. We custom tailor, um, just to fit for you. And of course, right now we're talking about mindset, because at the end, end of everything that we ever do in life, it's always mindset. Do you know that life is all about ups and downs? I personally don't know how
Yeah.
people don't do it without their faith life, but you always go to a new chapter or new level. Like right now, I'm in a new chapter, a new level of my life, right? You are in a
Hmm.
new chapter, a new level, because how old are your kids? Are 11 and 15?
13.
13.
Yeah,
11
team.
and 13. So you're
I
in the,
got middle schoolers.
yeah, and you got the middle schoolers, and that's different than when they were little. Like right now, I have
Oh
one of my
yeah.
sons is a first time dad, and he thinks things are going to get easier because his daughter's 6 months old. They're not going to get easier. They're going to be different. And when she starts
Hmm.
crawling, which she's really, really close, he thinks he can't sleep through the night. Well, teething, everything else, you're still not going to sleep through the night, right? I tell everybody I had
That's
kids.
probably not gonna happen for like another 6 months at least.
Well, I didn't get sleep through the night at all because I had a 13-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. So I had to wait up for the 13-year-old that was in middle school. And then when he was in high school, and then the little ones would get up in the morning. So I just learned how to, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
They thought that 9-year gap I had a built-in babysitter. I don't think so. My oldest brother, I felt like always had to watch us, and he was 8 years older than me. So I intentionally, my 9-year-old didn't, I mean, he was 9 when the babies came. He didn't choose to.
Right.
When he became a big brother, he was 9. He didn't choose to have kids. It was not his responsibility. I would pay him to babysit sometimes. One summer, he got paid to play with the kids all summer. The kids had so much fun. I was working so much. And matter of fact,
Yeah.
I stepped down and didn't have a job, and I just paid him through the summer. But anyway, remember we were
That's
going to talk
awesome.
about the spiritual transition. Love is often seen as the highest human experience. Force the connection and softens us and transforms both the giver and the receiver. So the spirituality. Now I do teach about 6 areas of your life. I put spiritualities at the core. Do you have that wheel of mine?
Hmm.
You do have that. Yeah. So
Wait,
right now I'm going to,
sorry, I thought you asked if I had that frame of mind. Yes.
no, but
But
spiritualities in the middle. And then we
okay.
also have your physical. Like I'm going to
Hmm.
go to the gym at 5:30 today, but now I'm getting back to back meetings, and I'm like, maybe I don't have time to go to the gym. Wait a minute. Do I still need to go to the gym even if I'm busier than crap? That just needs to be one of my, remember we talked about that. I need to keep that
Hmm.
word with myself. But now I'm
Yeah.
finding out that I'm literally have meetings all day, and I didn't know I had meetings all day because I sort of overbooked myself today.
My
Yeah,
Thursdays are kind of like that.
me as a business coach, I was sick for 2 weeks, and now this week I'm finding I'm a little bit overbooked. But that doesn't mean I don't want to do my physical, right? My self-care. That's your health. So we talk
I
about your
need
health.
to do that more.
Yeah. And what my thing with the end of the year is set up 3 goals for your health, 3 goals for your spirituality. I tell everybody I'm a Christian. I don't push that on other people, but everybody has that being of who we are is our spirituality, right? So whatever that
Right.
means to you, me, that means my Christian walk and, spending time reading or meditating or what are those 3 things? But that's the core of who we are. Then we have our health. If we don't take care of our health, how can you be a good mom? Jean,
Right.
how can you be a good grandma? How can you guys be a good spouse, right? I'm not a spouse right now, I'm single, but I have to be a good grandma and I got to be a good um, mom, even though my kids are adults, right? Jean still has to be a good mom, even though she has adult children, right? And be able to have that time for those important relationships. And I want to be a good friend, right? All our relationships. So then we talk about our relationships. What do we need set up there? But if we're not doing health, taking care of ourselves, our air mask, then we can't do our relationships, right? So 3 areas in your relationship could be, I don't know how busy your kids are, but it got to a point where my kids were so busy. And I told you I had a 13-year-old and babies. And so the babies would be there to eat when they got into elementary. But then when my youngest went to kindergarten, my oldest went to high school. So then I had a high schooler and a kindergartner. So I had a kindergartner, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Now I could have them all at dinner, but could I always get that 14, 15-year-old at dinner? No. We started making a rule that we had to be at dinner one night a week. We all had to eat dinner together because that became more realistic with his crazy schedule.
Right.
Instead, I was always, and then my ex-husband, he always worked way too much and he wasn't always at dinner. So then I tried to make it one day, like Sunday or whatever, that we would all eat dinner together. But I also tried to make it one day where I had all 4 kids and just me eating dinner. Because my ex-husband didn't get home till like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night to eat dinner. That's not going to work for the kids, right? And a lot of times I'd give the little kids a snack. Well, I always gave them a snack when they got home. And then I would send them outside to play. They'd get their snack, go play outside so they could come in and do their homework while I cooked dinner. Because if they don't go run off those, what do you want to call them? What do they call them? Zumbies or Zumas or whatever. You guys teach adults. Stretching breaks are important.
Mhm.
I mean, right now we're sitting for 2 hours, but if we were doing a 3 hour, I'd have to stop and give you guys a break. And 2 hours is a long time, but by the time we're sharing what's going on in our life, what happened to us last time, Julie, we got so busy talking, we didn't get to finish what we're talking about right now, the spirituality and transformation. And like I said,
Right.
so romance is different from loving, though, through the two often go in hand. Romance is different, but love, and those two sometimes go hand in hand. At the heart, romance is the experience of love, attraction, or affection in a way that feels special, intentional, and emotional connection. So what we're getting at is the way you love your spouse is different than how you love your kids. The way you love your friends is different than how you love your kids. Nowadays, we're getting taught in society, which I think is wrong, that we love our kids unconditionally, but we don't love our spouses unconditionally. Because spouses, you do know, are disposable,
According to them.
according to society. We don't
Right.
have to work on that relationship. And also, it's getting where sometimes we're disowning our own children or our children are disowning us. Can you believe it? I know you guys have seen
I
some of that in
can.
your life. I know you've seen some of that in your life.
Mhm.
But we need to learn to forgive those people. We talked about that a little bit, Julie, and figure out what kind of relationship we still can have with boundaries in our own life, right? But remember when we were little, there was no way you would, what is it called? There's people that even divorce their parents. Can you believe it? What is that called? Emancipate? Yeah, Jean went through that. Her mom
Something
helped
like
her do
that.
that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand that one, but in a way I've kind of experienced it, so
Yeah. And we need to pray.
It was one of the traumas I recently unpacked in the past 5 years, I would say, to understand the why of it all. And now that I understand her why, as a mom, I understand her doing it. And I have been able to forgive her because I used to not believe that it was because of her, it was because I wanted to. The hardest part was realizing that it was just as important for her, or she needed it just as much as I did, that separation for the two of us to be able to become who we needed to become.
I know, and people
So
don't
it's
realize
part of
that.
the purpose. It's part of the pain for the purpose for today to
Hmm.
be able to talk to individuals that gone through many things similar or of that much trauma. So I'm grateful to have had that opportunity.
And I think your mom sort of did it out of love if you look at a different perspective. She was like, Jean's
Mm-hmm.
going to do whatever Jean's going to want to do, and I need to let her go.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said at this point, I understand that it was where it needed to be because we would have parted it a whole different um, perspective of it. I would have hated her knowing who I am, and I would have obviously never went back. But when it was time to go back, as I identified when I was in under that bridge homeless, I did end up getting in touch with her, and she did give me a ticket from Tampa Bay into over to Dallas where she was at. So at that time, um, that wouldn't have happened if we would have parted the way that I was going to make it happen. So I'm glad she did choose that. There's some other things in life that I seen that she chose that I didn't understand it when she did it, but today in my own life, I can see the whys. So it's part of that, when you're talking about love, it is unconditional love, but it also has to be some generational empathy that's offered in that as well. It's part of the unconditional love. So generational empathy is what we would reference in that area.
And it's our perspective, right? There's people I know that got put up for adoption and they wonder why their mom, because she didn't feel like she could raise them right, but she didn't abort
Mhm.
them. I mean, you got to look at it, right? And you need to thank her for giving you life. It's all our perspective of what happened, right? I haven't lived at home since I was 17, and I've always had something to do with my parents. Yet I moved out 2 days after I was 17. I would go get them something for Christmas, call them for Mother's Day. I still talk to my parents. Did they agree that I moved out and stuff? No. Did they always treat me the way I thought? No. But I always kept that connection, right? But I want everybody to raise their hands who have screwed up their own kids raising them. See? So then we go, oh, these parents are acting this way because we're all imperfect people trying to raise imperfect kids. And Julie and I were talking about some of that because she's had some stuff with her in-laws, and we got way on a track about talking about that. So we didn't get to cover what we're trying to cover, but it is. But it's, what did you call it? Unpacking that. It's our perspective. I want you guys all to write this down. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You were purposely put in that family. You were purposely put in that time for God's purpose. Now, if you're not a Christian, I still believe if you want to call it the universe or whatever other people, there's a reason you're here now. Right? And me, I've changed my perspective with my family. I try to be a good daughter and be a good sister with boundaries. Do I sometimes feel like it's more giving and less taking? I mean, yeah. I've been through a lot the last 2.5 years. I told you I went from 2023 to 2024. Every time I picked myself up, something else happened. I didn't think I was going to make it. But then God put people in my life. And yesterday I was out texting people and thanking them for the last 2.5 years because without these people, did you ever just text somebody and say thank you for being there? I literally
Not
text
very
people, thank you.
often.
You have saved my life the last 2.5 years. And that's true. I've been through so much. But God put people around me. Do you know what I'm saying? And to acknowledge them and realize who they are. It definitely changes your perspective. To send a thank you note to your parents, even if they're deceased. Say, Mom, I never understood where you were. Like my mom's gone. I just lost my mom 17 months ago. I didn't always have the relationship I wanted with my mom, but she was my mom. And I realized what my mom would try to do. I've went back the last 2.5 years and apologized to my kids for stuff I feel I didn't do, right? But yet I think I'm a good mom and a good wife. I think I was, but I didn't do everything right, right? And that's part of your healing, if that makes sense. Like it
Yeah.
sounds like Jean could write a thank you letter to her mom at this point. Not for her mom, but her mom will still see it from heaven, but for your own. And I know, Julie, you're struggling with some things and you might not want to send those letters that you probably need to write, but writing them will be for you. And they might come out really hateful and mean, and you're going to be like, oh, I need to tear this up. You might need to reframe it, but just to brain dump all those feelings is a good thing.
My mother would write into the night and she would burn them in a little bowl the next morning. She said that was where she was writing out the things that were on her heart that she couldn't share with anyone else, but she needed to release them so they wouldn't be weighting her down.
Did you just see a lesson that your mom taught you?
Mhm.
Because we can focus on all the bad things our parents did. I told Julie the other day I had my grandson and I was supposed to keep him busy all day Saturday. And if I didn't have him, I had his little sister who was 5 months old. But I love kids. I was cool with that. But he has ADD on steroids and he got in trouble at the library because he was just being. And I told him I was going to put him in timeout. And he goes, Grandma, we don't do timeout. Now that could have been disrespectful, but it was a statement. It was true. His dad later goes, the way Grandma deals with it is different than what we do. But they don't do timeouts nowadays. You know what they do? Take a breaks. It's the same idea. But in a take a break, we're teaching them to breathe and whatever else. The way we're parenting today is so different than when we parented littler, right? Somebody I was just listening to, they were like, why did you not do drugs growing up? Our parents would kill us. Why did you not, right? Our parents would have whipped our ass, right? I used to say my mom would throw me through a wall. Do you think my mom literally threw me through a wall? But no, my mom would have threw me. You know what I mean? Had that much. My dad never really disciplined us. He yelled at us. And if he would discipline us, it probably would have become abuse. Do you know what I'm saying? And then he felt like he could do that with the boys, but not as girls, but he called us stuff, and I don't want to make it about my parents because my life is not about, you are too freaking old to be saying, because my parents did this, I'm this way. You're too freaking old for that. Because your kids are still doing that with you. My kids I have some that are very, very young. They're in their 20s, but they know it all, right? Because they're in their 20s. But I have 3 kids in their 20s right now. None of them have hit 30 yet. 2 of them are over 25 when their brains are fully developed, but they're 26 and 27. So they're just on the other side, right? So when I'm looking at the perspective of them, because I think Julie and I were saying, well, this one's a grown ass adult, because I think you have like an 18-year-old or something, right, Julie?
He's 22.
Yeah, he's 22. His brain's not even fully developed until he's 25. And they don't really get it till they're 30.
But they think they do.
Yeah, because they know it all. But how many times do I'm in my 50s and I know it all at times.
Yeah.
I have some in their 30s and their 40s, and they still think they know it all. How about that? I've
Exactly.
got
And
20s, 30s, and 40s across my children and
we're still,
grandkids all underneath all of that.
yeah. And we're still looking at our parents and going, if they did this differently, instead of taking the speck out of our own eye.
Right.
I mean, how much
I just
how
have
much
to
was
go to their
counseling?
houses and not really say much because I don't necessarily agree with how the discipline differences are. So I just let them have their house rules in their house.
Exactly. We can't agree. But back when we were younger, the way our parents disciplined might have been, you'd consider abuse today, but that's how all the parents disciplined, and some were over the top. And some of it was abuse because they were angry when they did it, which makes it abuse. I get that. But we survived it, right? I mean, I'm an 80s kid. Julie, are you 80s kid? Yeah, I graduated in 88, so you know how old I am now, except for I didn't graduate, but that's irrelevant. I'm the class of 88 anyway, right? But anyway, my point
Well,
is,
I guess in that respect, I'm more of a 90s kid. I
yeah,
was born in the 80s.
yeah. And Jean can tell what year she was if she wants, but she doesn't need to. But how much did it change? The 80s and 90s, I would say, were pretty much the same, but different, right?
I would have been in 81 if I was to go to high
Yeah.
school, but I did not attend high school
But
myself.
81, was more of a 70s. Between the 70s and 80s, I feel like stuff really changed. 80s and 90s were about the same, but then 2000, it really changed again. And I have kids from different generations, right?
That is correct. I went to school in the 70s, if we're talking about school, but I dropped out
Mhm.
after seventh grade.
Yeah.
So the early 70s
But I
even.
mean, when you graduate in 81, you're more of a 70s kid. Does that make sense? Because you were in high
Yes,
school all
absolutely,
your
especially if
years
it would be 80 or 81.
as a
You're right.
child was 70s, right? Because supposedly in 81 and 88 and you graduate 97, we're all of a sudden adults because we graduated high school. Yeah, right.
I was the hippie in the 70s going to school. How about that?
And I was homeless when I was 17, sleeping in a cardboard box out in the woods, and we all slept in movie theaters and whatever we had to do. And I still wouldn't go home, right? Because I didn't feel that was, and when I go back and I say, what should I have told my 17-year-old self? I don't think I would have went home, even now. You know what I mean? But we don't need to talk about those traumas or our perspectives. The only reason why we're talking about right now is how do you change your mindset for today? I realize I still have this record thinking I'm stupid at times. Look at Mork and Mindy. Remember, I can't remember what his name is. Mork. What was Mark's name?
Is that Robin Williams?
Yeah, Robert Williams. You got to go. I can't hear you, Gene. You're muted.
I said nano nano.
Yeah, and
That's how they
how many
wave.
times did he make all of us laugh? And why is my hand up? But how many times did he make us all laugh? But yet we didn't know that he had mental health problems.
Yeah.
He was behind that mask, whatever it was. And we're all that way, no matter, I was talking about Taylor Swift and Kelsey because they're a huge deal. And, but Kelsey, he just made his 100th, whatever. That was a big deal. And then now everybody's making a big deal because he looked at his girlfriend because they were both excited that he broke his record. And everybody's like, he's so arrogant. Da, da, da. What the heck? He still wants to win whatever he's doing. And he still has a bad mindset. Did you know that? Chiefs weren't doing very well because we had some players out and everything else. And I'm only talking about this because I'm in Kansas City and it's a big deal in Kansas City right now. But I'm saying he's a celebrity, okay? I mean, right or wrong, they're big deals. But how many times do you think Taylor Swift goes out there and she's exhausted and doesn't want to perform or doesn't think she can? And same with Kelsey, he gets knocked down. They still struggle with their mindset and people don't see that. And they sometimes don't see that these people are people. They're just like, oh, if I made that much money and I just did it, and I'm like, are you serious? They're still us.
Well, and yeah, and I mean, I don't get into that whole relationship that much. I mean, I do follow the Chiefs somewhat, as much as I'm going to follow any football team.
Yeah, I know, but that's irrelevant.
Still, it's like, yeah, if you make a great accomplishment, even if it's me or my husband, like if you do something accomplishment, you're gonna look to your spouse and you're gonna cheer each other on. Like,
or your significant other or your best friend in the aisle, right? It doesn't matter. My point is, let's just talk about a movie star or anybody, right? It
you could
doesn't
say
matter.
apply the same stuff
That's
to
why I
Trump.
brought up, what is his name? Robert Williams. He was huge.
Yeah, Robin Williams. He was
Robin
awesome.
Williams, and then he killed himself. What the heck? That was a very sad day, right? And yeah, he was in the big limelight. It has nothing to do with, right?
Yeah.
Just our perspective in it all, if that makes sense. And all I'm trying to say is if the big wigs that supposedly made it to the top still struggle with mindset, we all do. And so we talked about that, Julie. How many thoughts a day do we have? And how many are negative? More negative than positive. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. So we need to capture those thoughts and reframe them.
Right.
I mean, Jean did a good job of that regarding her mom, right? She's like, I had to unpack that. Well, how many things did her mom go through that she never unpacked? That was not counseling, mental health, all that stuff was not a big thing when our parents were little. You know what I mean? My parents literally in the 40s, both of them, their mom was divorced 3 times in the 40s. Nobody got divorced in the 40s. That didn't even become a thing till the 70s. And you were looked down on for being right. So my mom and dad decided when they got married, they were going to stay married no matter what. And that's what they did, 64 years. Did they always have a healthy relationship? Not in my eyes, but maybe in theirs. You know what I mean? But, so it's all about the perspective. I told Julie yesterday, my dad right now, I'm dealing with him and we're doing a lot of healing because we lost my mom. And he's an 85-year-old little boy. But wait, I'm a 56-year-old little girl. Think about it. So my dad's an 85-year-old little hurting boy. You can say he's angry, he's depressed, well, yeah, that's never gotten help. And he's 85. I'm sorry. Are you allowed to go? You should. But nowadays, like counseling and stuff is norm. My parents' generation, it was frowned upon. My dad won't be a great man if he had to go get help. I've even told me he needs grief support. He just lost his wife. No, I'm fine. I'm tough. Remember? Just rub some dirt in and shake it off. That's what they were taught.
Yeah.
And my dad's a man. I've never seen my dad cry. Since my mom's been gone, he's cried a lot. And then he feels bad because he's not strong enough because he shouldn't cry because he's a man. That was a stigma that they got taught. So if you don't cry and relieve that, guess what you do? You get angry. Do you know that those are really close together? Anger and, our emotions are close together. Nowadays, I actually have two boys and they're pretty emotional and they're boys. They just always
It's one
have
of the
been.
ways that it becomes complex if it isn't worked out at the not necessarily immediately, but in the very near right after happening. It becomes complex, especially if something additional happens on top of it.
Mm-hmm. And I love your mom. I mean, she struggled, right? And she wasn't maybe always the best mom because she didn't know how to be a good mom. But she took the time for self-care of at least trying to write down whatever and then burn it.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't talk to a counselor. She couldn't tell anybody. But she would deal with those mindsets. And nowadays you can say, hey, some people go, oh, I'm depressed. I have anxiety. I mean, it's almost, what is it called? Me too thing, right? I've been sexually abused. Me too. Everybody's like, me too. But I told people that 1 in 3 women have been abused. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And 1 in 7 men have been abused. And people are like, oh, you mean verbally abused? No, physically or sexually. I mean, actually abused.
Yeah.
Not the verbal's not. Verbal's real bad abuse because remember sticks and stones? What is it? Can hurt me, but words can never hurt me or whatever. That's bullcrap, right? Words hurt you sometimes worse because you
Yes,
put them in your bank.
absolutely.
I can tell you 5 great things about you and I'll tell you 1 negative, and guess what you're going to keep on to?
Negative.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know why, but those are the things that we'll remember. I was just reading an article about sometimes we have things that happen in our childhood, and maybe somebody told you a story that you got lost at a store and you never did when you were 5. And then you replay that and you think it's true. And some of those things that we call trauma never ever happened. Did you realize that? We heard it somewhere. And so it becomes real to us. And it might have never happened in your childhood. Is that weird? Because it's our perspective. Somebody said something and we heard that. And so then we thought that's what happened. So when I ask you what happened, we sometimes get into our feelings about what happened versus what happened. Because it's how we felt about what happened, not what actually happened. My mom and I, she emancipated me and I moved on with my life. Instead, you go, my mom emancipated me and then I felt abandoned and then I felt, no, that's not what happened. What happened was just the story, just the actual event that happened. Do you see what I'm saying? But we add stories to that event when it was the event that happened. My mom called me down when I was in 5th grade and had me read, and I was reading at 3rd grade level. So I was excited to show my mom But wait a minute, I just talked about my feelings in this. But she called me down. I read that book. Then she called my sister down. Then she said, see, she's pretty smart. And Sherry's learning how to read, but she's not, as doing as well as Debbie is. That's what happened. In that, I said, I'm stupid. My sister's better than me. That did not happen. Nobody said, Sherry, you're stupid and your sister's better than you. My mom did not say that. Do you see that? That's not what happened. That's my perception of what happened. Now, did I have a right maybe to feel that way and da-da-da? Yes, but that's not what happened. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stories of what happened, just like somebody will be raped and then they'll be like, oh my gosh, because I wore this outfit, I got raped. Nope, that's not what happened. You got raped. Some guy took advantage of you and raped you, maybe as a young kid or something. I'm no good because I should have. Nope. It's just the event that happened. But then we make stories around that event.
We psychoanalyze it.
But we make stories in our head. Just because I was reading at 3rd grade level in 5th grade does not make me dumb. Just because I got diagnosed with dyslexia in 3rd grade does not make me dumb. But I took it as that made me dumb. Like you said, we add extra to it. Like when I talk about rape, that should never happen to you. I'm not saying that. But sometimes you say, I must be no good. I must be ugly. I don't know what you say from that, right? But that's not what happened. Some stupid jerk raped you. But then again, you can't call him a stupid jerk. I got raped when I was 5, whatever that was, I didn't get raped when I was 5, but I'm just making that up. You know what I mean? Whatever that story is. But then you go, I must be no good. I can't have healthy, and so then you live in that. You make a story around the event. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Jean started changing the story around her event. Oh, I was going to leave, and the way I would have done it, there would have been hate, there would have been right. She started looking at it in a different light. But if we just look at events that happen and then realize how we feel because of that event and then go, is that even right? I'm sorry for all the bad trauma and bad events that happened to you. I've had that as well. We've all had that, but it's what our perspective is around that, right? So we have gestures when we do something thoughtful, a surprise note, flowers, planning a special event. We do things like that, right? And then our atmosphere creates moments that feeling, meaning, intimacy, or even magic. And our emotions actually spark excitement, tenderness, or passion between two people. And connection reminds someone you matter to me and I want to show it. Love is the deepest bond, right? Romance is how you celebrate that bond. Think about it. Love is the fire and romance is adding kindle so the flame starts warming brighter and alive. But that's same with all relationships, right? Not just romance.
Mm-hmm.
You can create a partnership. Does it always have to be romantic? You have friend partnerships. Two and a half years ago, I felt like my world crashed, right? But what did I do? I created partnerships, or God even put people in my life, right? To support me. Because, they always say, well, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Are we meant to do this world alone? I actually had an associate tell me, you depend on your friends and you're too much when all this was going down. Do you depend on your friends too much?
Sorry to interrupt, but I gotta get going. I got my class.
That's what you said. And I will send you this. And thank you for being here, Julie. And you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll keep in touch. You keep in touch
Bye.
too.
I will.
Good to
Bye.
see you. Good to see you, Miss Julie.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So yeah, we were talking about always making sure you have those partnerships when you're going through trials and tribulations.
Right.
I always have felt like I don't really have family support. But that's sort of a lie because I got amazing kids. And I had my husband, right, for 33 years, and that was support. But I have friends, and over time, I've built my own family. Do you know you can build your own family?
Yes.
You learned to do that over your life. I know you did. And I have friends
Still
that
working on it. It's a work in progress. It's never a complete thing.
well,
What
you know, you
should
get
what
people in
should
your
family look like?
you have people in your life for a reason, for a season, and to teach you lessons too along the way. When my friend Gerald, who's my mentor friend we were friends forever, he was more of a parent than my parents were as far as I was concerned. And he was always believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. He was always there for me. And we were friends for 30 some odd years. He met me when I was 18. He died in 2020. But my friend, another one of my friends, who's a real good friend of mine, bought me a rose bush. And the idea of the rose bush, she gave me a write-up with it. And I wish I could find the write-up. I will find it. But it was about the roses come out like this. And it's basically like it's a whole curve of up and down. And her little thing that she wrote up about it was that friendship goes on and on and on, but sometimes it changes who's the next person in our journey along our life. You see what I'm saying? Or even
Yes.
family does.
Mhm.
And then I just talked about how people's families right now are getting broken up over stupid stuff.
Yeah. So true. So true.
But we get to create those relationships with our family. I
Mhm.
think we forget that we have the power. Can you control what the other person does? No. But you have the power how you want to have a relationship with your kids, with your parents, even if they're deceased. Do you know that all of our stuff pretty much starts with our parents? So if you heal that relationship with your parents, even if they're deceased, how would your life be different?
Mhm.
Because that's the root to where you started. Can you let your parents just be human? Can you change the perspective of what you expected out of your parents? Your parents were working out of their own hurt, their own traumas, their own stuff. And then they got this baby and they got no instructions. So can you let your parents just be human? Isn't that an interesting perspective?
Absolutely. People are people.
They're broken people.
Humans are humans.
They're broken people that didn't know what they were doing.
True.
If you go back to your own kids and you realize what trauma you might have passed down, what do you want your kids to do? To realize that I was just human. I did the best I could. And I'm sorry for where I screwed up. And I never stopped loving you. Maybe I didn't show it right. Maybe I didn't, right? Whatever I did wrong. So if you look at you as a person and how you might have screwed up your own kids, then you might get an idea of why your parents might have screwed you up because what were their parents like, right? And we forget that. They were parenting out of their own traumas. And I love what you told me your mom did. That she would just take time for herself to write out all her and then burn it. I bet you wish you could have read some of those though. Because maybe if you'd read some of those, you would have understood your mom better. You know?
If you want my honest answer, I can't say that I would, because if I was writing down mine would be some demons that I wouldn't want my children to read. And therefore she probably has some that I wouldn't want to read either. So I'm glad that she demonstrated that. At the same time, we don't always follow in the footprints of our parents. So there's a lot of pieces that can be reflected on that. She was a very strong-willed woman, and she did the best she could. I know that. There's a lot of questions that I would have liked to ask, because when I left at 14, I never did go back. So there never was any relationship afterward. But that is what it is. And because of that, there was no relationship with her, with my own children. And so when you have the brokenness, sometimes there's not the healing that happens from one generation to the next. And sometimes you have to skip generations. Unfortunately, it's the way that it happens. But we can't, and that's why I said, as I wrote it down and I said it earlier, it's called generational empathy, is what you're talking about when we go to the research and look at what we're talking about here, because we have to look generationally in the cultures that we were in. And it is about forming that family. And the family is, in fact, the first institution that was created in the understanding of my understanding in the hierarchy of the way things are created in this world. And therefore, we have to go back to what that looks like, and what is it for everyone should be civility, as in treating each other in a civil manner, honoring one another, and giving each person value within the family unit itself. So some of what I am working on truly is about that structure of the family and what it should look like, not necessarily from my point of view, but from the world, as the different cultures that the families are brought up in. Wow, which reminds me, I need to contact a teacher who I was with a couple of years ago. I gave her a book of mine, and I really either need to connect with her and get it back, or maybe just go buy another one. But it really is about the different cultures and the different amounts of money that comes into the homes and what the homes look like, the consumption of it. It's actually a book that highlights, I believe, 40 plus countries where they went into families and they asked one family within each country to just let them spend 1 week with them so they could take pictures and document the normal functioning of a family. And each one was uniquely different. I'm gonna have to find that book. And I know where my book is, but if nothing else, I should probably maybe just buy another one.
I think you need
Might
to
be
write that
easier.
down right now, because you just remembered that, right? And
Yeah,
look
I
what
do
you
need to,
do. You
because
make such
it's
a
part
big,
of it really is part of the research of what I would need to keep backing up what like I said, I've been doing a little bit of stuff here, and it's like there's a lot to it. It is about the family.
and why do we forgive?
What is the question?
Why do we forgive?
Oh, to forgive ourselves to start with.
But we forgive our parents for what they did, not for their
Oh, well,
benefit, but
you
for our
asked a
own.
very broad question, and so I gave you the first answer that I have for that broad question. So if you want to make it more specific, then I would probably become more specific with my answer. Realistically.
But I'm saying, why do we forgive our parents, right? Why do we
Oh,
forgive people that hurt
because it's
us?
part of the healing of ourselves as well.
Exactly.
Because we're bitter about what happened back there. And
And it
there's
goes
lots of
into your
things
next level. But look
that
at
we can
you.
create.
You are a
Uh,
shining star, and you go out and help families because you have that empathy, and you understand. Like right now, like I told you, 2023 to 2024, I'm a transitional coach. A bunch of crap happened to me. I lost my mom, I went through a divorce, I broke my foot, I lost my dog. I don't even know. And I was like, oh
mhm,
my gosh, God, you have a funny sense of humor.
mhm,
Because now I can use all of those experiences to help other people. You can say,
mhm,
hey, why me? But why not you? Whatever's happening in your life, you can go, why me?
mhm.
But why not you? And you were
Right.
just talking about people in other countries that might have had it worse than you. And no matter what our childhood was, other people had it worse. No
Mhm.
matter what, no
Yes.
matter what. happens in your life, other people have it worse.
Yes. As a matter of fact, as I've unpacked different trauma stories, I actually have one that's directly related to that topic. My mom and my dad were disagreeing on whether it could get worse. We were already in very bad shape, homeless, all
Mhm.
kinds of that, nothing for money, food, or stuff like that. So we always would go back to the farm in Mississippi, and it'd always be this little shack where there's nothing, but at least it's out of the weather and out
Mhm.
of the car. And my dad was he'd borrow somebody's chainsaw because that's where all of his uncles and cousins and stuff were to cut pulpwood for us so that we could get money for food. But he had said that it couldn't get worse. And the next morning, when he went outside into the yard, into the area where he was going to cut trees, that next morning, he actually cut his leg nearly in half. And back then, they didn't have to accept you at the hospitals. They could refuse you if you didn't have money, which we didn't have. So my mom had to bring him back to the place where we were staying there in the building and just nurse him the best we could. We were grateful there was some family members close by, another land, because the lot was big for the family. They divided it up. It's a whole, my stepdaddy had a family. He didn't go to school. He grew up with no schooling,
Mhm.
working on the farm, stuff like that. So, no, reading and writing abilities to stepdad. So, it's some of the background. I'm grateful. I'm a vessel that the Father has brought me through many things. You're right, to help other people. So that's what my why is now. I'm working on a couple things. So thank you for what you've done, keeping going forward too, because it is overcoming those obstacles. And as we realize and unpack them, yes, they do come from our personal perspective based on our emotions and the things that are going on. And as I identified earlier, you referencing your dad, when one trauma happens, if we don't have time to heal from it, and then another one happens, and another one, depending on how deep those layers get, is that much more to unpack. So today, yes, one of the initiatives I'm working is called Story to Glory, and it will be taking your pain and turning it into purpose. Your story to glory, I think is exactly what the tagline is I'm working on. So what I'm working on right now, I'm not only for um, adults like us, but even a children's version because I have written an elementary, and you've seen it, and you've even had it in your hands,
What
a
is it?
children's book, my children's book that I had up there when I was visiting. That when I met you, I took it
Yeah,
on
but are you
stage.
going to publish it?
Um, I'm I'm thinking about it and doing it from the children's perspective and being able to have children write their story because this is my identity. I actually was looking at finding my own identity. It's amazing how it's actually coming full circle. So now with this and two co-authored books this year that I launched, definitely it's time for me not only to write my own, but to help
Mm-hmm.
others walk them along with a 6-week package that I'm working on creating. So it'll take a little bit more work, but I'm confident that for next year, that's what I want to roll out, as well as a couple other small things. But it does go back to the family because we need to teach our babies to read and write, and therefore we need to be able to read and write, even if it is beginning at the littlest level when I was in my college classes, right? The smallest abilities.
You
So
need to just publish that, and then
I'm
from that you
telling
can
you, I
publish in
am
the
going to.
second edition.
And I illustrated it, so I've got a double pow there because I love to draw, but that's children's book. I did anyway.
If you
I'm
need
quite
help with that, I
excited,
know somebody that can help you.
as
I
in
published
doing
a book.
in
Myself published it on
publishing.
Amazon. So yeah,
That's
you just
pretty
need to
cool.
do it. Stop
What
talking
is
and
the
just
budget
do.
then for that? Yeah, well, you have to have a
If
budget
we
for it,
do,
right?
no, if we do it ourselves, Amazon's free to, anyway, we'll have to talk off camera here, but yes.
Alrighty.
But yeah, we can do it. We just, a lot of times, where are the possibilities?
Oh, there's I know that yes,
Once
absolutely.
we break through those stupid barriers, there's so many
Mm,
possibilities. Go back to
hmm.
5-year-old Jean. What did you want to do,
Oh,
right?
I'm already booking events for next year at this point. So yes, we would have to yes, I'm
Exactly.
Dr. As a matter of fact, I am Dr. Jean at this point, so
And that's
I
what you
am
said.
expecting to
And
move it
you did
out.
not change it on your name, and you need
I
to.
didn't yet. I do. You're right. I need to do it
You
right
need to
now.
because it
I'm
makes
going to,
you,
yeah.
and it's not about
Absolutely.
you. It's about people that want to work with you and the
Uh-huh.
impact you can make just to adding the doctor
Yes.
to it.
I know how to do it. I forgot now. I know.
Well, if we go right down, right
Mm.
near where is it? Hold on. They keep changing stuff on
I
here.
know. That's why I said I don't know. Is it in my profile? Nope. I have
Mhm.
professional Zoom too, so I may have to go in a different place to do it. I thought it was the three little dots at the top by my name by the corner on the opposite side, but it's not in video settings. Let's go into more. I know there is a place, and it even asked me if I wanted to have it say academic advisor after my name, and it asked me that every time. So it may very well be in my settings online in my account at this point. Let me go into my account probably. Mhm.
But we definitely need to change that. And I'm saying stop talking and do, right? That's just what we
Mhm.
need to do in our life.
Oh,
And
I've been doing.
I
I've
have.
been
I'm
doing.
very proud of you. I've been watching you. I've
I'm
seen you
tired.
grow.
I'm tired, but yeah, it's the end of the year, so I'm not going anywhere except visit my daughter a couple times before the end of the year since I hadn't seen her much this year at all. All right, so
Well, and relationships is where everything, mindset, but relationships is where everything starts. I mean, we are meant to be in relationships, right?
absolutely, we're created
Um,
that way.
yeah, I don't know. It seems like we'd go to the wheel. There are
Yeah,
wheels.
I didn't see it. I'm just gonna quit because we're
I hear
recording
that we
and
can Google anything and figure it out. So Google it if
mm,
you can't figure it out, make it
yeah,
happen. Next time
y-
we talk, next time I see
it'll
you
be
on
there next
Zoom, you
time
better
because
be there.
I could yeah, it'll be there
Well,
next
today is
time.
the last day of this mindset thing, and I know we have so much to cover. And a lot of it has been great because people have been able to share where they're at in their mindset and how things
Mm-hmm.
are changing. I was going to go ahead and do chapter 1 of my mindset, but then I felt like, which I still have that book. And if you don't have it, go out to Amazon, and it's called Here to There Revealed. And it's about balancing your work-life balance. So make sure they know if people want that. And of course, I have a YouTube channel. So, and there's more stuff on mindset out there. And I'm coming back right after going through a lot. And I had to go down. I had to actually step myself down, do a little bit of self care this last year so that I could come back. And so now I'm getting back out, going to be doing public speaking and a lot of other things. So now you will see me. But a lot of people ask me where I am. Well, part of it is sometimes we have to stop, put our own air mask on, fill up our own cup so that we can go out and help other people. So that's where I'm at, right, in my life, in my business. And that's just sometimes we need to take those breaks, you know? And you kept moving along and got your doctor, and it took you 8 years. And instead, you could have said, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too, but you didn't. You kept breaking through. On top of everything else, you've been working on that. That's how my daughter in 2 years just got her master's degree. She just kept taking a class, right? And never stopped. And she finally got her master. Well, she'll have it at the end of December. She doesn't have it yet. She's finishing the last bit of classes. But when we do those goals,
Mm-hmm.
where would you be in 8 years if you didn't get your doctors? You wouldn't have it today. So we a
Right.
lot of times don't look at that. And ultimately, I'm still getting over a cold. Ultimately, that's what is it called? Always have to worry about in our life. When we live without sharing, remember your mom felt like she couldn't share? When we try to do it on our own, and we don't get a counselor or a best friend, or we don't share, we get feelings of loneliness, even when we're surrounded by people. Have you ever felt that way? You can be in a whole crowd of people and you feel lonely because you didn't share your emotions. You can do that through journaling. You can do it through talking to somebody. I like to write Dear God letters, which is sort of what I heard your mom write, right? Maybe she didn't know they could be Dear Universe, whatever that is, right? And I love how you pulled out something good that your mom did. I like to keep those notes myself because then I can look at them in a year and see how much I've grown in a year. So I like to go back and read those demons or things or mindset or whatever you want to call it that I was dealing with a year ago. I wish I would have journaled more, 23 through 24, but I couldn't. I was so overwhelmed that I couldn't. So instead, I would speak it out, right? And sometimes when I said I couldn't journal, I learned, oh, you can voice talk, right? You can actually get on Chat GPT. And by the way, I've done that. That's so funny. Had a conversation with them about your feelings. And then they tell you how ways to maybe deal with it, which is so funny. I'm not suggesting using Chat GPT though. I mean, because that's not a real person to share your feelings. But get a counselor, have a best friend. Of course, journaling's good, but hiding your feelings, you can literally be surrounded by people and feel alone. Have you ever done that? Put your mask on and pretended you're okay, and then you feel alone. I literally had an acquaintance of mine tell me that I depend on my friends too much. I was like, no. I've had to depend on a lot of my friends the last 2.5 years, right? And I realized that, and I went back and I tried to thank them because literally I've had to depend on them. But that's not bad because what would I want my friends to do? Right? Would you be disappointed if you knew your friend was struggling with something and she didn't reach out to you or he didn't reach out to you? Right? I'd be like, why didn't you reach out to me? I don't want something to happen to you, or I don't want you to end up right feeling alone in a crowd, or I don't want you to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
Right.
time in my life that I literally felt like I was totally by myself. And I say that's Satan that was telling me that. You know what I did? I wrote out a list of all the people in my life that were supporting me in my business. I wrote my friends. I wrote the people that were praying for me. I have a whole list. I still have them. So then every time I go, I'm alone, I go, oh, wait, I have all these people. We always have God, right? But God uses people. I, I even told you I prayed for you when we became friends, which is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But God showed up.
Yeah.
And I could have said, no, God, I don't want to, except for I knew I wasn't strong enough that I was afraid whoever I roomed with, I wanted to wear my mask. And I wanted a place where I could break down. And there was a guy I didn't even know. I can't remember what his name is right now. I'm connected with him. We're friends now. He came up to the room and was there for me when I was having a breakdown. He's married. It could look bad that he was in a hotel room by himself with me, but he didn't worry about that. He worried about standing for me at that moment. And today we're still friends. But I didn't worry that I had a guy in the hotel room by myself. I could have said, ooh, that looks really, really bad. But you could have walked in, my other roommate, but that's not what happened. We had that moment. You know what I mean? Where from a men's perspective, he could tell me. And sometimes getting the opposite sex perspective is a good thing when you're going through something, right? And so I'm saying, realizing that it's okay to rely on others. Connection is shallow or it's transactional. Without vulnerability, trust, and intimacy, can you develop? Did you hear me? Without vulnerability, trust, and intimacy, can you develop? With your husband, do you have vulnerability?
Absolutely.
Do you have trust?
Absolutely.
Do you have intimacy?
Absolutely.
Have you been in a relationship, maybe married or a boyfriend that you didn't have trust, vulnerability, and
Absolutely.
intimacy? How did that feel?
Horrible.
So to have a real healthy relationship, even with your friends, you need to have, what did I say? The 3 things I told you. Vulnerability, trust, be able to be authentically you, right?
Mhm.
And that intimacy. Do you know what
Right.
intimacy means? Into me. You're more of an introvert, I would say. Maybe you're an extrovert. Sometimes I overshare and
I'm an
overtrust.
ambivert.
Huh?
I'm an ambivert.
That makes sense. I overshare and overtrust. What do you do?
I'm the chameleon ambivert. It means I change based on the situation.
Mm-hmm. So you don't always trust. And I overtrust because nobody in my family talked about the pink elephant in the middle of the room. And I've had to learn these last 2.5 years to not overtrust. I would never be able to play poker. I have the worst poker face. I'm so authentically me that I show up everywhere being authentically me. But you got to be careful that you don't always overshare. Do you know that oversharing and over explaining is actually a trigger from trauma?
Hmm.
Over explaining and oversharing is a trigger from trauma. Did you know that? Oh, you got to talk to somebody. So what I'm saying is that's what I tend to do. Now, what do you tend to do, right? Look at that. Some of us undertrust and undershare because of trauma. So we don't trust nobody. And some of us try to speak up and say, but there's a pink elephant in the room, and this is what I'm dealing with, and this is what's going on in my life. And you go running around telling everybody, which I find I do that sometimes. When I went through my trauma, I would be at business events, and sometimes I had breakdowns when I didn't want to in front of these business people. And people talk about you and they judge you because you do that. But people are going to talk about you and judge you anyway. But I've had a lot of people judge me this last 2.5 years. And at first I was like, wait a minute, I screwed up. I shouldn't have showed up. I couldn't do this. I couldn't, whatever. And then I finally just have to forgive myself and say, if that person's going to judge me because I took I took my mask off and had a breakdown in an inappropriate manner at the time when I was going through so much, I have to be okay with that. I have to forgive myself for that and try not to do that again, right? But I cannot control what other people think about me. But I can control what I think about me. And I have a question. We worry about what other people think. I sort of tried to stop doing that when I was 40, but I'm in my 50s and I still can do that sometimes. If you're not going to take advice from that person, why do you take criticism from that person? That's a write or downer, right? How many times do we worry about what somebody else thinks? I had somebody say something not really nice to me the other day. And we're all sitting at a table. And when they said this to me, when I sat down anyway with my food, they made a rude comment. And then they walked off. And another person came up and goes, that was very unprofessional and rude of them. And it was about how much food I had on my plate or something, which I'm not even overweight. Actually, they are, but that's irrelevant. They're like, wow, you must be hungry. And all I had was a lot of fruit, and I took different kinds of bread or whatever. I don't even know. But the way they said it, you could tell that they were upset about something with me. And then they walk off. And then this other person comes up and goes, that's very unprofessional. And I go, well, I don't know. But that wasn't a person I would have took advice from anyway. So why'd they say that? What were they trying to accomplish when they were being not very nice to me? I don't know. Could I go home and cry about it and be all... I just been nice to her. She had some surgery, some other stuff, and I've been praying for her and whatever else. And then she seen me last night. She's like, hi, Sherry. And last time I seen her, she was very not nice. Now, I know that's a person that you probably authentically don't want to be friends with or trust, but you don't need to have an attitude with them. I need to forgive them and still just show up being Sherry. I have no idea why they said that, what they were kind of accomplish, whatever. And they made some other people uncomfortable and everybody left the table. It was sort of weird. And then my other friend came up and, said that was, and I was like, okay. I sat there, brushed it off, and left. I'm still talking about it, but not really. I'm more using it as an example of I just going to still be nice to her. She's not one of the people I need to share she's not my best friend. She's just a business acquaintance. Somebody said, I wouldn't want to do business with her because of the way she acted. Okay, that's your perspective. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to do a referral or whatever else because I'm very picky about who I refer. If I refer somebody to one of my clients or one of my friends, I want to make sure they have good integrity and character and that they're in line with what my values are, right? And they, of course, are going to support me. Because you don't want to refer somebody that might, I don't know, you know what I mean, not be on the same mission and vision of you. Have you ever heard about enrollment? I'm talking about having a vision and a purpose and a mission for your life and enroll other people into it. In other words, have other people that are supporting you in it. What do we belong to, Jean? You can unmute. Is it called BY? I always say it wrong.
You're referencing BTBY
Yeah, we
is one
enroll
of the
people.
things.
We enroll people into that. When you're saying enroll, you're thinking I mean sign up. No, we enroll them into that mission, becoming the best. What is it called? They changed what it was now. It's becoming
the better you.
Becoming the better you. That's a mission.
Yes. And
everybody in that group is supposed to, not everybody does, because you always have, people always say, there's hypocrites at church. There's hypocrites in BY, becoming the better version of you. Yeah, there is. But overall, we are supposed to be in the mission of helping you become the better version of yourself. And so we enroll people in that great vision of supporting each other. In that vision, let's ask Jean. This is not a promotion for it, but if you do want to know about it, reach out to Jean or I, and we would tell you about it because it's a great mission. But in that mission, which our friend Brenda started, in that mission, I am not trying to make Jean or one of my fellow person in that group be me. I want them to become a better version of themselves. Wait a minute, that's what I do for a living. So of course I buy right into that. That's what Jean does for a living. So she buys right into that. But the thing is, I'm not trying to make you have curly hair like me. I'm not trying to make you have brown eyes like me. I'm not trying to make you be what I think you should be. I want you to become the better version of yourself. So that's how we can enroll in that group. Well, what is your mission? My mission in life is to help you create the life and business that you love. I want you to have work-life balance. I want you to live your life authentically being you. I want my mission of what I do for businesses and people is help them be empowered by their own life and create the life that they are proud of. Not what I want. I'm actually a business coach. I come in and I help businesses. Do you know I don't take over businesses? But every business and every person needs to have a mission, a vision, and a purpose. And your business and your life should somewhat align. So what are you called to be in your life? You know, life is very short. How many more years are you going to be here? I say in the next 30 years, I want to, right? I'm thinking I'll be here 30 years, but that's just me thinking that, right? But actually in 30 years, I'm only going to be 86 or something. Hopefully I live longer than that. But if you look at it, 20 years, 30 years, in the next 5 years, I want to create this so that in 30 years, I'm right. But are you living out that life purpose for yourself? And are you enrolling other people with what that is? And what I mean enrolling is you want to surround yourself. I mean, I talk about it in chapter 4. You want your cheerleaders. You want your friends, and I mean actual friends. There's associates, acquaintances, and friends. You do know that. And you just need your small group of real friends. And then you need your coaches and your mentors. but you need them all enrolled in what you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, when I'm having a bad day, I can reach out to this person and they're like, no, 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 Sherry, remember what you stand for? Remember what you want to do? What did I do to you, Jean, when I knew you might try to underplan yourself? Look at you. Now you're Dr. Jean. You fixed it. Unmute yourself.
I was going there. I did. I
She
fixed
fixed it. She is Dr. Jean. I can never say your last name.
Paggiano.
Yeah. See, yay! Look at you.
Yes. I go
But
ahead and go
I
with
think
that
I'm one
one
of the
now.
people that you've enrolled in your life that support you and go, yes, that's who you are.
Yes.
Because you say, this
Absolutely.
is who I am, and then we play low. We play less than what we are. We all do it. But if you have those people enrolled in your life that say, no, 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 Jean, you said this is what you're going to do. You need to keep your word. You need to be who you think you are. You need to stand in what you believe in. So that's what I mean about enrolling people into your life that support you. Limit your personal growth. Share and invite feedback, perspectives, and learning. What did I say? I love my friends. I've actually had my friends the last 2.5 years literally call me and tell me things I don't want to hear. But they did it out of love, like giving me advice, right? Like, Sherry, that's not who you are. Why are you acting that way? That's not what you said that you want. Why are you doing that? See what I'm saying? They love me enough to say, hey, but those are the people that support me. But the other people that want to criticize me and they're not trying to support me for my mission, why do we listen to them? I diplomatically called you out. I think it was first session or something of, Jean, introduce yourself, but don't downplay yourself. Didn't I say that? But I did it in love. It was like, what you do matters. Stand up for what you matter. What you say, stand up, keep your word, be you. Right now you have Dr. Jean. I can't say your last name again, but the point is, why do you have that? You got that. That's a great accomplishment. But if you downplay that, all the people that need help from you, you know that's going to make a difference in other people's life, right? She's going to try to teach me how to say her last name. You see it though. There's her last name, right? Last night I had somebody arguing that my last name is Jewish, and I'm like, we are so not Jewish. And they're like, no, you have the most Jewish last name. I'm like, okay, go look back in your genes, because they were my Jewish friends. And I'm like, I thought
You can
his
say
background was
it.
German, but he's actually
Now,
Levy.
now you can say it.
Why? Would you put it in chat? K Genio Ano. Help me out.
Ka,
Ka
G,
G on
on,
O.
oh, Caggiano.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Do you know I never got hooks on phonics? I need to learn that. Then I'll be able to pronounce better. But anyway, creative and contribution, ideal talents and
Mindset, girl.
huh?
Mindset you just referenced. You're right. You
Exactly. I
need
thought of
to.
that as soon as I said it. If you don't like it, fix it. I used to be scared of public speaking. Now I'm a public speaker for a living. I joined Toastmasters 20 years ago and I fixed it. If you don't like it, fix it. Don't talk about it. I've asked my daughter, who's a 5th grade teacher, to coach me on some of my, what do you want to call it? Stuff that I feel like I missed as a child. Well, then fix it. Stop talking about it, right? You just told me mindset. Fix it or don't talk about it, Sherry. That's because if I'm choosing to walk around with that broken arm, I'm choosing to. If I fix
And you
it, I
don't have to
fix it.
fix everything, girl.
Nope, you don't. But ideal talents and insight remain unused. So you cannot give or receive value fully. Life feels small because human purpose and meanings are tied to connecting, giving, and contributions. So if you're not giving, connecting, and having contribution in your life, that's what our purpose is. Did you know that? So if you think you can do life by yourself, like a friend of mine said, you depend on your friends too much. I'm like, they're not even my friends, they're my family that I created, but okay. I said, that's how my friendships play. We connect and we support each other. That's how I do. And giving and contribution. Do you know it's easier, though, to give than to receive? How easy is it for you to tell others how great they are? Somebody tells me that they like my shirt I have on today. I don't have no fancy shirt, but you know what I'm going to say? What do we tend to say when I say, hey, first of all, let me see your shirt. Is that a butterfly? Those are butterflies, aren't they? And I love butterflies. And I was going to say, I love your shirt. What are you going to say when I say,
I'm also a butterfly person. I love butterflies. This shirt is probably 15 years old, honestly. The
see,
t-shirt.
instead of thank you, we say this shirt is 15 years old.
And I'm grateful I have it too.
2.5 years
Still.
ago, my word for the year was transformation. Butterfly
Mhm.
became part of that. A friend of mine was encouraging me yesterday and goes, Sherry, sometimes it takes longer to be the caterpillar before you become the butterfly. And I said, oh, he just talked my language. Well, wait a minute. If you follow me on social media, which he's following me, I've been talking about butterflies the last 2.5 years. So everybody knows that. Somebody told me I love Mickey Mouse. Last night we had dressed up for Halloween and I had Mickey Mouse on. Everybody's like, you should have Minnie. FYI, I have Mickey and Minnie, but my Minnie wouldn't fit me because I need to lose a little bit of weight. So I wore Mickey. They told me I was dressed in the wrong one.
So does that mean Minnie is mini size and Mickey is maxi size?
Yeah, right. It was so funny because Mickey was even tight on me. They're just like a little different sizes. And if I lose this 20, well, when I lose my 30 pounds, I need to lose right now, I'll fit back in it. But I've gained 30 pounds between breaking my leg and some other stuff. And it doesn't matter. I can use all the reasonings behind it. I have no money, so I got to eat whatever. Those are reasonings.
Swat those excuses. That was my speech over in Kenya on every stage I went on. Yes, swat those excuses, get
And
rid of them.
how do we do that? We go to we do those presentations, you and I do, but then we have to remind ourselves, swap those.
Excuses.
Did you videotape it?
I have some. You could go find me on YouTube and be one of my followers. Help
Exactly.
me
Send
get
me over
20.
that speech so I can listen to it and subscribe to you.
Alrighty.
Sometimes you need to do those newsletters and you need to put those out there. If you miss this, this is where you can find it. But life feels smaller when we're not doing it right. I lost a friend in between 2023 and 2024 when everything kept happening. And she was a counselor friend of mine. We were friends for 35 years. And she ended up in a hospital 2 days before she turned 80. We thought we were going to celebrate her 80th, but she instead got metastasized cancer. I can't even say that word right. Came back after she had beaten it. And she was very much a introvert on steroids, and she didn't want nobody to see her that way. So last time I got to see her was like the Thursday before, and she went in the hospital that Tuesday, 2 days before her birthday. And then, of course, like 6 weeks later, she died because she didn't want to go through chemo and put her kids through all the stuff that she went through when her mom died of cancer or something. But she did it her own way. But when I was going through everything, she was there through a season. Um, Everything hit me May 2023. Stuff was happening before that though, and then she died in September 2023. So, but those from May to September, she was supporting me so much, and she would say, "Go find something to do for others." And I had a cat at the time, and she was like, yeah, make sure you change kitty litter, give them food, water, take care of something else. Go take care of your plant. Go take care of other people. Because when you do that, you take the focus off for me and you have a mission. And if I can't take care of a person, I definitely could take care of my cat. Which I would have took care of my cat anyway, but she was saying do it on purpose. Take care of your plant on purpose. Now that sounds really simple. But she says you need something else besides focusing on everything going on with you. Go help somewhere else. So when we take it off ourselves and we start, you know what I mean? Like your dad said, your stepdad, he said things could get worse and God heard him and his leg got ruined. And when we say that things can't get any worse, something else happens. In 2023, I kept feeling like that. I was going to church with my friend every Sunday because I had to go to my church by myself. And then she died that. And then I've realized I sort of stopped going by myself. But did I need that? And you know what's happened? 2023 to 2024, I could tell you all these God things. And I probably need to go back and write a lot of it. Every time I thought I was alone, that same year, my friend died in September and I met you. Right? And I had my friend Debbie, who reminds me of you, and I still want to get us all on a Zoom call or something because I want you to meet her. But that was my friend Diana Moresco, who passed on. But when one thing happened, God always showed up another thing. And I would drain, I'll be honest with you, I almost felt like I was draining my friends, depending on them. And I need to be depending on God and not them so much. But at times I would cry out to God. Oh, I couldn't even read scripture. It was so bad. That was an excuse. Guess how I started reading scripture? I had scripture read to me. You don't have to be able to read the Bible. You can listen to it. You don't have to be able to journal. You can do voice talk. I was so overwhelmed I couldn't write and journal my feelings, but I could voice talk them. I was so overwhelmed I couldn't sit down and do scripture and do devotion, but I could listen. I love it when people tell me, I was talking about the 6 areas of your life, and I sort of got on my train. Personal development's one of them. People tell me they don't read. I don't want to hear that. That's an excuse. Nowadays, you can have something read to you. We can listen to podcasts. What are ways we can do personal development if we don't read? I don't like to read. Remember, I told you I was so bad, and I also didn't even know what to pray for. I was so overwhelmed. Do you know what a prayer is that I've learned? Help me, God. I need help, God. That's a prayer, even if you don't know what to pray about. So all those are excuses because there's always another way. And what year are we in? 2025? We're going into 2026. What's your excuse? Technology's everywhere. I went to school in the 80s. They didn't know what to do with people with dyslexia. Nowadays, I have Grammarly, I have this, I have VA that helps me. There's no excuse for it. Oh, is that your YouTube channel? That's weird because it's not a link.
Try it. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't link. So I might not be doing it right.
What is the name of your YouTube channel?
Jean Gaggiano at Gems of Hope.
Yeah, that didn't work
So
at all.
view my channel. Let's go. Where do I get
That's
my
too funny.
video? What's too funny? I can't get it to you. I don't know that it's there though. Let's go here. I was trying to figure out how to
We
get
need
it,
to
I
change your
guess.
channel to Doctor.
Subscription.
You have a homework. You need to change all of your social media to Doctor. And there you are. And I just subscribed to you. How was I not subscribed to you? That's hilarious. Because you helped me get all kinds of subscriptions. You're at 15 and I need you at 50. So you need to go out and put it on social media and ask people to subscribe. And you need to share something that makes it worth them subscribing.
I need to put more stuff up there. There's some in there. A couple different things.
And mine's right here. And I'm going to I don't want that.
Yeah, I do see that all of them, all of my ones in Nairobi are there.
Yeah, but you need to share them on social media and talk about your impact on it, and then ask people to subscribe to it. Say
Uh,
subscribe or listen to this so that they will want to listen to it, and then they'll subscribe. So you need to make social media post about it.
okay.
You also should make a social media post about that you just recently accomplished your doctorate, and you can make it about other people. Say, what are you doing the next 8 years? This took me 8 years. It seemed like forever to get this, but I accomplished this goal. What are you doing to accomplish? You know what I mean? So you can turn it back around
Yes,
about other people.
that's
Use
true.
it as a learning tool for others. And then
True.
say, reach out to me if you want help in blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to tell other
Takes,
people what to do, but then you got to remember to tell yourself what to do. Ha ha ha.
I was gonna say it takes time, energy, and funds in some
Okay, are
cases,
those
but
just no, 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 no
mhm,
funding
those are my
that you can do
excuses.
for free, and that's excuses.
Yes, I do have my website that needs to be done, and I do have another
See, I have another YouTube channel
domain.
that I need to get rid of, and I haven't done it. I need to download it and put it all on the other, and then somehow delete this because it confuses people which one's mine. Yeah, see, I need 300 subscribers, and I don't have them. So
Oh, there's where the timer
I have
is.
254, and your goal is
Oh,
50, and you need to tell people that's your goal. And I made that goal for you, but that's because you only have what, 13? So if you get to 50, and if I get to 300 and I have 254, so see what I'm saying? We
I
break them into
do.
bite size. You and I are both coaches. It's so much easier to coach somebody else than others. And why do we have a countdown going on?
I was just checking to see if it works from my side on your platform. I'll turn it off.
I should have put it on to begin with so that we stay in our time zone.
I can't get it out of there now. How do I stop it?
So we talk about emotionally
There it
bottling.
is.
Is that hilarious that we were just talking about that? But anyway, I was talking about 6 areas of my life and I got off that. Spirituality, your physical, which we, taking care of your own health. Because if your health's not, then we talked about relationships. And then recently I was just talking about the third area, which is what was I just talking about? Oh my gosh, get me back on track. We go off track here. Um, the people that we need in our life, which is our relationships, which we already talked about.
Create those relationships with our family, realize the connections, giving and contributing, all those connections within it.
Yeah, me, I have changed my perspective of my family. It's about me contributing to them. It's not me getting receiving from them. So God put me in that family to make an impact. But the way I make an impact is different, right? And I hate that my mom died, and my sister the other day said, I don't want anything to happen to Dad, but sometimes I wish Dad could move on because he really wants to be with Mom in heaven. But him and I are working on our relationship and repairing it right now. So it's a very important season in his life and mine. Sunday is my mom's birthday. So it's going to be hard on my dad. So I'm picking him up and he wants me to take him to his church. And then we're going out to eat. He's hoping if I go to his church, he thinks I need a man. Remember his perspective? That I could find a godly guy at his church. And then he wants us to go to a singles group so that we could both find people. Well, you know what? We can go to those single groups because I'm supporting him and he's supporting me, but I'm not really going to find somebody. But do you want to make new relationships and meet new people? And is it good for Dad and I to be working on something together? I'm good with that. And since he asked that of me, I'm like, okay. But he wants me to be with somebody before something happens to him. As a dad, he thinks I need some man to take care of me. And all of us kids are married but me, except for my little sister. She just went through a divorce as well. But she's been through multiple relationships. And she always gets into another one very quickly. So I don't think he's worried about her, but he's worried about me because I become across as being too independent. He doesn't think you need to be like he raised us that we need a man and that we need to be submissive and some of that's true, but not really, right? And I'm a woman, I tell everybody I'm everything my dad doesn't want me. I'm very independent. I can do life on my own. you know. When my ex-husband actually left me, he goes, "You're going to be fine," because part of it was because his guilt, his whatever, right? But I didn't want to do life on my own. It wasn't a choice, but I can. So anyway, but subscribing to each other's YouTube channel. What is yours? Yours is tell everybody what it is. So if they want to subscribe, and tell them what kind of stuff you have on your channel.
Is Jean Caggiano Gems of Hope, Gems of Hope. And I just recently came from Kenya in July. So I had the opportunity to speak to over 500 girls out of a high school there. And I got the opportunity to be at a women's gala the next day on a panel, as well as speaking. In both settings, I was able to use the acronym SWAT those excuses, work on self. And once you start reflecting on yourself, you're going to have to work, because work's going to take time. And then after you have done the work and you understand who you are in your workforce or in the environment where you're planning to work, then you assemble your team, because you cannot do it on your own.
We were just
So you
talking about
have
that.
to find your
Exactly.
community, your
Enroll
team
them as I
that's going to help you. And once you find and assemble your team, as my SWAT is SWAT, like SWAT those excuses. So the T then is where the transformation comes, and you actually get to pay it forward by teaching others to do the same, unpacking their trauma and moving into their greatness so that they can help the next generation. And it does start with those families. So there's not a lot up there on my YouTube yet. However, I'm expecting it to exponentially take off as I continue to work into the initiatives. I've got a couple initiatives that I'm working on currently, and to get them in print and out there is one of my next goals. So if you want to unpack your story, maybe just even a little part of it, I believe that your story can take you to glory. So get with me, and maybe you can be part of the pilot that I expect to start out with Story to Glory initiative. Your story, taking it to the world so that you can show others how to shine in this wonderful world that we have around us. Global impact, you can do it.
But that is so awesome. And so now I heard you have 2 homework assignments. You need to do that little write-up and share that, and then ask people to subscribe to your YouTube. Share that on your social media. Write this down. And then everything needs to be turned to Doctor. Even your YouTube channel needs to be changed to Doctor. So yeah, we need to do that. Write those 2 things down. Those are your homework. I will be following up with you and holding you accountable to that, because that's
Thank
going to
you.
make a big impact. And I'm very, very proud of you, all that you are accomplishing right now.
Thank you.
So we miss opportunities. Sharing what matters often opens doors. Collaborating, supporting, loving, and growing. And without expressing your heart through possibilities, you stay closed. You just expressed your heart out of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to shine and show that I'm Dr. Jean. Say your name, I got to do it.
Caggiano.
Caggiano. Caggiano.
Caggiano.
Dr. Caggiano. So it's Dr. Caggiano. You might not want to shine that light, but if you put that out there, more people are going to see your stuff or say she's an expert, and you're going to impact more people's life. It's not about you. Do you know back in 2018, I started Kansas City Inspired Coffee with Sherry. And I did not want to, I don't like videos of myself. I don't like pictures of myself. And God said, it's not about you. It's about your message. So I had a coach that challenged me, and I started doing 1-minute talks every day about subjects in 2018. Who knew that God was preparing me for 2020? Then I had a friend who was scared to get on 2020, and we started doing conversations with Sherry and Terry Ann through 2020. She's a coach. She is so different than me. She's a mindset coach. I'm a transformational coach. But we were both like teaming together, trying to inspire others. And now she got out of her comfort zone. And guess what? She's doing her own podcast. I actually have her, if you go to me, which is here to their consulting, and subscribe to that, and I'll make sure Jean's in one of my favorites, and Jean can put me in her favorites. In my favorites, you can find Terry Ann, and you can subscribe to her. And if you go on my YouTube, you'll see a lot of Terry Ann and I when we did that through 2020. So see how if you do what you're uncomfortable with, how others can learn to do what they're uncomfortable with. And a lot of times we go, I don't want to. Jean is doing a great, sorry about that. I have a cold, so I'm doing the best I can over here. But Jean has a great opportunity to make difference in other people's life now. And even telling your story about how you in 8 years became a doctor. When I know 8 years ago, you were like, this is too hard. I don't want to do this. It's too much. And then you just kept moving. My daughter did that. She kept saying, I'm going to wait till I graduate and then I'm going to figure out what I want to do. And then she took a year and then now she just randomly decided that's what she's doing. She had to change her lifestyle. She lives on her own. She's very independent. She's mini me. She literally humbled herself, moved in with her dad so she could go grad school. And now she thought, I'm just going to live there till I go through grad school. Now she has her loans to pay off. And she's like, wait a minute, it'd be better if I live with dad so that this doesn't follow me into my next. And, you know, my ex-husband, he can do that for her. And so it's great. And so she's 23 years old living with her dad, which she doesn't want to be doing, right? Because she's Mrs. Independent. But she basically, I think, gets one floor and he gets the other. I don't know. I've never been in a living condition. But I told her how proud I was of her that she found an opportunity of how to do it. Your voice is a bridge to connect, understand, and fulfill. If you can't share what matters to you, you lose not only relationships, but you lose the power to live fully and authentically. If you're not sharing what your vision is and your purpose and who you are, so that other people can enroll in that, buy into that, then you're playing small. What if you started showing up to actually be authentically you, Jean? You can say, I'm authentically me today. No, you're not. You're playing smaller than you should, right? What if you could make a transformation and actually become even more authentically you? You see how you could do that, Jean? You're already doing it. You are muted, so every time you speak, I can't hear you, but you are muted. But yes, you are. Like right now, I'm seeing you. You are playing so much more authentically you. So if you get that garbage out of your head and you get that garbage and you heal those relationships, mainly your parents. It sounds funny, but it's your parents. Your childhood, you are still taking into your life, and you're how old? Get over it. Move on. What did you say, Jean? A lot of that you learned. Let's take all those good things that we learned from our parents and from our experiences and focus on them. And those negative things, just what? Swat them, right? That's what you said. Get your fly swatter. Swat them away. Just because they come in my mind. And I already said this, so I'm going to say it again. If I speak to you the way you speak to you, Jean, do you want to be friends with me? You'd be like, no, you are not. You're too negative and mean to me. And remember, I told Julie this. I don't know if you were on there, but I was saying this. I have a question. Unmute yourself because I'm going to ask you a question. If I come over to your house and I start talking really, really bad to your kids, or I go to your son's house and all I do is dish your kids and your grandkids, and I do that with all your kids, how do you feel? Do you want to be my friend?
I would still want to be your friend, but I would have a boundary to talk with you.
Okay, but you're doing that to God's kid.
That's true.
Every time you talk crappy to yourself, God's going, I still want to be your friend. I still want to love you, but I have a boundary with you. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. Who are you to talk to yourself that way?
That's true.
So he's going to have a boundary. He might still want to be your friend.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we speak bad to ourselves, we're speaking bad to God's child. Nobody ever looked at it that way. Every time, so no. And you can't talk about, I will say, you cannot talk about Jean that way. But I'll let myself talk to Sherry that way. How's that make sense? Jean and I would be the first one to stand up for somebody else that somebody was talking bad about. But yeah, we're going to talk bad about ourselves. That doesn't make sense. So every time you get those, capture those thoughts and go, wait a minute. What'd you say? SWAT them. And if you need to learn about SWAT, follow Jean on her YouTube because it's great. If you want to learn more about mindset, you can follow me as well. Your voices is a bridge to connection, understanding, and fulfillment. So if you can't share, like I said, then you don't have that voice. Let's go back to what I was talking about, those 6 areas of your life. So we can wrap up real quick here. I was talking about if we don't take care of our health, then we can't take care of our relationships. And we should put 3 goals and objectives of how we're going to maintain those goals in each of these areas of our life as we're going into 2026. Spirituality. What are you going to do in 3 areas in that life? And what 3 habits are you going to do that? Physical. And by the way, if you want to know about this, it's on my website. And of course, my website's here to there, consulting.com. Okay, so then we have physical, then, and then which is our health, right? Taking care of our health physically and everything. Then we have, what did I say? If you're not growing, that's what I was talking about, personal development. Personal development. 3 areas you want to do that. 3 habits you're going to do for them. Next we have business or our work. If you don't have your own business, what are you doing? 3 areas in that, your work life or your business. Could even be working better with your colleagues, or where do you want to be in your business and then the 3 habits you're going to do for that. And then your finances. So if you're not living on a budget and you don't have, and I talk about that in chapter 5 of my book, your pre-spending plan. People call it a budget. It's your pre-spending plan. If we don't have a plan for what your finances are doing, then how are you getting where you want to be with your relationships or your business, right? We have to keep that under control. And then, so wait a minute, I did spirituality, I did health, I did personal development. What else? I did relationships. There's 6 of them. What is the other?
You did 1 spiritual, 2 physical, 3 personal, 4 business. Number 5 is finance. And number 6 we're waiting for.
That's right. Number 6 we're waiting for. Where is my book? Because it's in my book. And I'm thinking, I know exactly what it is. And I'm going, wait a minute. What is number 6? I don't have my book here. Do you have my book? It's in the book. I should know right off the head of my tip of my tongue. How did I okay, we got relationships, finance, business, personal development, spirituality. That is hilarious. That I
Go to your website, right?
Exactly what I'm going to do, which is too funny because I know. Why am I having a brain freeze? Oh, wait, I'm not perfect. That's why.
That's right. It's all part of life.
I have a quiz out here actually in all these areas. So your health, your business, your relationships, your finances, and your spirituality. So I guess I covered them all. Health, business, relationships, finance, spirituality, and personal development.
Relationships. All right, relationships. 3, that's one I didn't have written down.
4, 5, 6. So I did talk about all 6 of them.
We got them all now.
And there's actually a quiz out on my Facebook, which is really good because if you take that quiz and you print it, then you can see where you are on a 1 to 10 scale. So you see where you want to grow. A lot of times we have to spend more time in our relationship and maybe healing them. Because can you do all 6 all the time? No. Sometimes we need to spend more time in one area. But of course, we talk about chapter 6 of my books, all about time management, because without having that time management, how can we move forward? If you don't have my book, go out to Amazon and it's called Here to There Revealed. And also, if you just want to get the worksheets for my book, they're all free out on my website. And there's a free quiz out there as well, which is here to their consulting.com. But if we don't budget our time, right? So my book, I'm just going to go over that real quick, starts with mindset, is chapter 1. Chapter 2 is, and I don't even have my book in front of me and I don't know why. Oh, yes, I do. I have it right here. Find it now. Yeah, health, business, relationship, personal growth, financial, spirituality. Chapter 1 is on focusing on our mindset. Chapter 2 is we must have our MVP. We must have our mission, our vision, and our purpose. Remember, I talked about that. Then chapter 3 is about goal setting in those 6 areas I talked about in your life. Chapter 4 is all about those people I talked about that you need in your life. And chapter 5 is called Step-by-Step Money Mechanics, but it's about your pre-spending plan. Because nobody likes
Okay.
budget. And chapter 6 is about your time. Because what we can always we can always make more money, but we can't have more time. How many years you got here on Earth? How many do you have left? We don't know, but without a plan, we plan to fail, right? And a lot of people don't like to make 5, 10 years goals because they go, that's too far out. Well, if we make 5-year goals, then we got to break them down to what we're doing this year. Then if we have year goals, we have to break them down to monthly goals and quarterly goals, right? Which then we have to break them down to what? Daily goals. So if you're not doing what you need to do daily for your health, what did I say? I need to lose 30 pounds. What's my excuses? What do I need to do daily if I want to lose 30 pounds? And I need to turn it down to Pacific, right? I lost 87 pounds back in 2010 and I kept it off for like 5 years. And then I gained weight, then I lost it, right? Now I say, oh my gosh, I have to lose 30 pounds. Wait, I only have to lose 30 pounds. See what I'm saying? I could have to lose 87. If I don't start taking care of my health and lose weight now, I could start having health problems. I don't have any health problems. I'm 56 years old, not on any meds. I take care of my health. But if I keep that weight, what's going to happen long term? One time I was a little bit overweight and they told me my cholesterol is messed up. So they want to put me on cholesterol. And I said, no, I'll lose weight. I lost 20 pounds. My cholesterol came down. Shocking. So all I have to do is start moving every day, trying to eat the best I can, healthy. And I'm on a very tight budget right now, the last 2.5 years. Can you eat healthy on a budget? Yes, you can. People say you can't. Do you know that black beans are really good for you? They're not that expensive. Do you know buying a thing of beans and boiling them? Now, I don't say just live on beans, but those are high in protein and they're cheap. People say beans and rice. Maybe rice has too many carbs, so I don't want to eat that. Beans are cheap, right? There's ways to eat healthy, cheap. I hate it when people say it's more expensive. No, it's not. Do you know how much a bag of chips are? Do you know a lot of my friends this year? I don't know what you think about Halloween, but some people are saying they're not going to buy Halloween candy. First of all, nobody comes to your door. Secondly, have you seen the price of candy? If I go buy a bag of candy or a bag of carrots, which is more expensive? First of all, how fast can you eat a bag of candy versus how long does a bag of carrots last? Because how long does it take you to eat it? You have to actually chew. With the candy, do you have to chew? You know what I mean? It melts in your mouth or, not in your hands. Oh, wait, that's M&Ms. I'm just joking, but I'm saying, we don't say though. Those are all excuses. Don't buy a bag of cookies. Buy a bag of carrots. Don't buy a bag of chips. Buy a bag of carrots, right? And buy some beans. There's cheap stuff that you can still eat even today with our economy being the way it is. And right now everybody is, I just met with a business owner. They own Smoothie King. They're trying to build leaps and bounds. They're not saying the economy's bad. They're saying, where can I have my next events? Because people are still going to buy Smoothie King, right? You can say maybe they won't, but like they're doing cheerleading events, they're doing, right? People are still going to live life. So even though we have all these things going on in our life right now, we can't control what the government's doing. We can't control what's going on, but we can control what our attitude is. How many people still need to learn how to read and write and still need to be inspired, Jean, even though we're going through what we're going through? I think they need it more than ever. What do you think, Jean? Our health is more important than ever. If you need to work with, somebody to get you going, or you want to go ahead and follow, us on YouTube, reach out to Jean, reach out to me. We also had amazing Julie on here, and Julie does so much for the community. But there's just amazing people out in the community. Go pull on those resources. Keep moving forward, creating the life and business that you love. Do you have anything to add, Jean? You have to unmute yourself. You keep talking with it muted.
I'm trying. Here's what I say, no matter who you are or where you're from, your future is up to you. Start today, follow your dreams, and dream big because big things are waiting on you to achieve so others can follow your lead.
Look at that. That's amazing. Is that your tagline?
Truthfully, I'm, for the most part, speak from my heart, but no matter who you are, or where you're from, the future is always up to you, is what I always begin with. And then from there, it comes from the heart, whatever the audience is I'm specifically
So
talking to.
I think your thing might be it comes from the heart, and that might be your tagline underneath. You need to figure that out, girlfriend.
Could be.
Dr.
Dr. Jean Caggiano.
Dr. Jean Caggiano, you need to figure that out.
Yes.
So there you are. Hold people accountable and keep moving forward, creating the life and business that you love. Let me see. Now, how do you stop recording? Is that hilarious?
And if you find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, I have 2 books that were launched this year that I collaborated with as well.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that, too.
2 different ones.